guys, welcome back to another edition of Raw Intuition Inside Scoop. Today we are talking with Tim Ross, who just a few years ago suffered a massive heart attack and nearly lost his life. But since then, he has taken to the path of detoxification, raw food, herbs, faith, fasting, and more, and now he is looking as good as new. So Tim, thank you very much for joining the channel and sharing your healing story with us.
Glad to be here.
Looking back, you're 52 years old, 250 pounds with a 40-inch waist, and you suffer a massive heart attack that nearly takes your life. 3 years later, you're 55, you're 165 pounds, 32-inch waist, and you're back to enjoying the gift of life. So before we get into the health turnaround, can you give us an idea of what your diet and lifestyle was like leading up to that point when you were 52?
I had a very sedentary lifestyle, didn't exercise much, got out and walked rarely, I guess you could say. And as far as the diet, if you could set it in front of me, I could eat it. Red meat, fried foods, the only way I ate vegetables prior to the heart attack is if they were battered and fried.
Oh yeah, nice.
And fruits, they weren't anywhere on my radar.
Okay, so did you just not like them, or you just didn't really think to eat them?
Just never really thought to eat them, and it was a texture thing, I guess, for me that I didn't really care for.
Gotcha. Yeah, that's pretty common. I hear that a lot, and I was actually the same way. When I think back to before I got into this lifestyle, hardly ate any fruits and vegetables, so I hear you there. What did you do once you discovered that these foods were maybe not so helpful for you?
Well, we went with the standard healthy diet where we ate the organic chicken and the steamed vegetables and a little bit of fruit. For some reason, fruit and I just never got along. I didn't like the texture of squishy fruit. And then that lasted for about 3 years. And I dropped 40 pounds with that and maintained. But then still didn't have the energy level, still just was on all my meds. And then Tiff had been doing some studying and ran across Dr. Morris and his detoxification and the way of eating that he prescribes. And she said, that's the way we're going to go. So July 1st of this year, we started on the raw vegan. The entire family went raw vegan. So
awesome.
That was good because, it's difficult if only one of you is on a certain diet. Mm-hmm. But with 3 of us on the same diet, we used each other as support partners, and it helped us all stay on where we needed to stay. So, and then that's what I've really seen the most dramatic changes since we've gone raw vegan. And now I'm off almost all my meds.
Back to the heart attack. What was going through your head when this happened?
Didn't know what it was. I knew something wasn't right. Actually, had Mexican food for lunch, and then later that afternoon was out mowing the yard, and I just thought it was indigestion. Thought it was a little humid around here, so I thought, well, I'm gonna go take a quick cold shower, see if that helps. And in fact, it was worse when I got out of the shower. So I told my daughter Tiffany to call an ambulance. Never hurts to be safe. Mm-hmm. Got to the hospital, and one of the first questions the doctor asked me was, who's your cardiologist? I'm like, I don't have a cardiologist. I don't have a heart problem. He goes, you do now. So that's when we all kind of got the wake-up call.
Okay. A lot of people struggle, even if they have a situation like this where, they get a big wake-up call, such as a heart attack or some other health crisis, and they struggle even still to make changes. So for you, what was your main sources of inspiration to be able to make this shift?
Well, when you scare a child like I did, thinking she was going to lose her dad, she did everything possible and basically watched everything I put in my mouth. Mm-hmm. She did a lot of research. She's actually a detoxification specialist now, so She really wants to help folks. And the biggest thing I would tell people is to find a good coach, find a good detoxification specialist, and find you an accountability partner. That's the only, you can't do it by yourself. I tell a lot of our friends around here that have started to work with my daughter some, that if they need somebody to talk to that's gone through this and had to sit in the corner and cry because they couldn't have the hamburger or the taco, call me and I'll tell them how I got through the process.
Have you experienced any other benefits other than physical benefits? Have there been like spiritual or emotional, anything like that?
I've experienced very little changes because I was fairly an even keeled person prior to, and
Hmm.
I firmly believe the only reason I survived the heart attack was because of our faith and our prayer life. But I have noticed while detoxing, my short-term memory's coming back because I was on statins, and statins just trash your short-term memory, and now that's starting to come back.
Right.
So yeah, it was not a whole lot of other changes other than the physical change.
Okay. Okay. So have you been back to the doctor, and
Yeah.
what is their response been to this?
Right before Thanksgiving, I went back to see my cardiologist for my semi-annual checkup.
Mhm.
And when his nurse looked out in the waiting room, she looked around a minute, and then she called my name, and I stood up, and she's like, "I didn't even recognize you." So I'm like, okay. So while we were in the room talking about, any changes that I'd had, my medical changes and stuff, she said, "How'd you do it?" I said, "Well, I went raw vegan." She said, "Everybody else in this office is vegan or vegetarian."
Wow.
And I'm like, that ought to tell people something right there. If an entire cardiologist office is vegan or vegetarian,
Yeah.
what's that say about meat?
Right. Right. Exactly.
And then I saw my GP right before the new year, and he was amazed. And he said, "You've inspired me." He said, "By the next time you see me, I'm going to lose some weight." So I'm like,
Nice.
okay, good.
Wow, that's really impressive, and that's encouraging because that's a different story than you normally hear as far as a reaction from a doctor or anything like that. So that's really nice to hear.
The other thing, when I tell them I've dropped from 4 blood pressure pills a day to 1 every day or every other day,
Hmm.
and my blood pressure runs below normal, they're pretty encouraged with that too. So
Good. Wow. All right. So, what does a typical day look like of eating for you then?
usually I end the day. I'll start at the end of the day. We stop eating around here no later than 7. No, and then we dry fast for about 12 hours.
Okay.
And the first thing I do in the morning about 6:30 is do my herbs, and then usually between 7 and 8 I'll drink a good glass of fresh squeezed juice.
Hmm.
Mid morning, all fruit smoothie with just fruit and water. Lunch is usually a salad. Afternoon snack is either raw fruit or another smoothie. And then in the evenings, if I work out, usually I don't eat much in the evenings if I work out. But if I don't go work out, it's usually another salad for the day. And then that's it.
Okay. Yeah. Sounds a lot like my diet too, so I think you're on a good track there.
Good.
Yeah. What lessons have you taken from this whole situation?
The biggest thing is it's input. It's not I'm going to the gym and work out for 2 or 3 hours to get healthy.
Mhm.
It's what are you inputting in the body? That's the biggest thing that I can take away and would give to anybody else's advice. We've all heard the old adage of garbage in, garbage out. Well,
Exactly.
don't put garbage in and you're not going to get garbage out.
Yeah. That's right. Put life in, you get life out. So that's how it works. What would be your biggest piece of advice to somebody that might be heading down the same road that you were on and just haven't quite figured it out yet?
Stop. Just stop right where you're at and make a different choice. You don't want to end up where I'm at because I consider myself very lucky. My heart attack, there was a 98% blockage with a blood clot trying to finish the job.
Wow.
I was close enough to the hospital. They said if I had been another 10 minutes away, I wouldn't be sitting here talking to you today.
Mm.
So you may not be so lucky if you don't stop and make changes now.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the biggest piece of advice. and find somebody to support you in this. Find somebody to help you through the process. You don't try to do it by yourself. You'll get discouraged and stop.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, totally agree. The support system is one of the most essential parts to succeeding with something like this. And it's really great to hear that you have Tiffany there, being a detox specialist and being so educated in all this stuff to help you out. Facebook is great for support if you can't find somebody, locally or in your family. And YouTube is great too. So anything else you would like to share with everybody as far as, anything that you've learned or any advice?
Oh wow, tons of stuff, and I usually end up twisting it up and turning it around crazy. But I would just say, if you're overweight, you've got any other health issues, there's a cure for it, and it's not medication.
Mm-hmm.
It's diet.
Yeah, diet is number one. For me personally, I lost 40 pounds without even exercising. So people, it's sad to see when people are eating, junk and trying to exercise the weight off. It doesn't work. So, you've shown that raw foods, fasting, fresh living foods are the way to go, and you can really turn your life around in so many ways. So I think we'll inspire a lot of people with this story.
I hope so.
Me too. All right. Is there anywhere people can contact you, or is there anything that you would suggest people to look for as far as resources to learn more?
Absolutely. If somebody wants to email me, my email is tjtross@gmail.com. A good resource that I'm going to plug Tiffany's website is healthrestoration.net.
All right. So guys, go check out Tiffany's website. And if you have any questions for Tim, email him at the address that he just provided, and I'll put a link in the description box below. So thanks again, everybody. Check out those resources, and always remember to follow your raw intuition.
Detoxify your mind and body. Be the change you want to see. Small steps towards living better. Small steps to where I want to be.